The new Wrong Turn starts off with Scott, played by Matthew Modine, searching for his daughter Jen, played by Charlotte Vega, who's been missing for a month and a half after heading to hike the Appalachian Trail. He realizes the small town where Jen was last seen is beyond secretive, and the surrounding woods holds most of those secrets. After a while, he discovers his daughter and her friends have been taken by a mysterious community of people who've lived in the mountains in the Appalachians for hundreds of years. Can Scott actually find his daughter again? And even if he does, will she ever be the same? This fresh update of Wrong Turn, including characters of color and gay characters acknowledging a Trump-era social climate in certain areas of America's South, is a nice touch that takes this reboot in new directions, rather than rehashing tired inbred cannibal tropes from the original. Alan B. McElroy's screenplay also touches on many complicated, complex issues of community and culture. I consider myself a Marxist. Cue the chuds eye-rolling. And part of the film explores interesting socio-political ideas about how people view community, specifically the relationship between community and work. The characters who stumble into the Appalachians and onto the mountain community find themselves lost in an American space, where only those who can work and contribute seem to survive, where difference is obliterated and only the strength of the community matters. What this new Wrong Turn does best is illustrate how often those who want to create their own new separate society from the rest of the world wind up creating a more barbaric state of being, and that seeing community or nation as a single body erases the humanity and lived experiences of individuals. One of the more compelling aspects of the reboot is how the film, up to a certain point, plays with the audience's conception of who really is the villain here. The group of young people hiking the Appalachian Trail are immediately dismissive of the entire town where they stay before the hike. Although there are indeed Confederate flags here and there, Adam seems to judge everybody as rednecks and white trash hillbillies. Though the town is definitely portrayed as xenophobic, with a cop earlier questioning Scott in the opening about the black fella in a photo with Jen, and a man in the bar later raging against goddamn hipster freaks and yuppies, albeit after Adam causes a small scene with rude comments. It's the young group of hikers, largely due to Adam, who come off as the villains early in the film before coming face to face with the Foundation later. In a scene midway through, Adam murders one of the Foundation's members, assuming they were going to kill him, when he was actually being transported to safety after being found hurt. The irony is, moments later, one of the group exclaims,
"These are clearly not good people."
Typical Americans. Invade someone else's land, kill them, then victim blame. Worked for George Bush Jr. Perhaps the most interesting part of the breakdown after Adam murders a Foundation member is when Darius, played by Aidan Bradley, yells, "Speaking at one of the mountain people. Another staggering moment that casts the young people in a villainous light. The line reflects a casual nationalism combined with racism that so many supposed liberals evoke, particularly in times of frustration when their true colors show and they reveal their own prejudices. Even a seemingly progressive black man like Darius resorts to this kind of rhetoric here. Adam then follows up by saying the man he killed looks like a fucking animal, and Darius agrees. Their progressive millennial views of America only extend so far to those who look and sound like them. The xenophobia crossing racial lines here with Adam and Darius is profound. It encompasses so much about the current state of America. A country in which white nationalism and heterosexism has risen drastically in the past decade alone, yet politicians and many social and political influencers still have non-white, non-straight supporters who toe the oppressive party line for them. The Foundation's backwoods community has identifiable white and non-white members. Venable, played by Bill Sage, the leader of the Foundation, is a white man. He announces the multiculturalism of his community as if it's bragging. Same tactics a person like Trump would use, pointing out his black friends and Latino supporters, like it's meant to erase all the rest of his racism and fascism. Let's not forget, people like Trump, similar to Venable in the film, do have supporters who are not white. This complicates our often reductionist view of politics as cut and dry good versus evil, because we want to put every bit of blame in one place, ignoring many of the intersectional issues in society like class, gender, race, and all these things that make social life and politics so complicated. It's of particular interest that the Foundation members live lives similar to the tribal life of certain indigenous cultures, while they claim to be the real Americans, uncorrupted by an urban landscape or modern living. The plaque found on the Civil War fort in the woods, around where the Foundation have built their community, reads, "And the true and honest foundation of a blessed and ideal America." This community has been around since before even the days of the Civil War, so their roots go back to and connect with the slave trade. The Betsy Ross flag is partly imprinted on the plaque itself. European settlers tried to wipe Native Americans off the face of the earth, creating modern white American culture through colonization. Now, some of them are unhappy with what they've created through sheer destruction, brutal violence, and the erasure of so many indigenous ways of life. Why am I bringing this up? The film's tagline, seen on the main poster, is, "This land is their land." The song from which this tagline is derived is "This Land Is Your Land," which might as well be white America's national anthem. While I love Woody Guthrie, the song erases the historical, violent disruption of indigenous cultures caused by the Europeans and settler colonialism. The Foundation act as if they're a better society when they've actually grown from the roots of the worst parts of American society, all the while convincing themselves otherwise. It's as if they're trying to convince themselves and others that this way of life is a new way of living, when it's just the roots of what was America, the indigenous people, before colonialism. Venable boasts that their community contains all races and creeds, yet they all seem to speak a form of Nordic language, and their culture appears uniform across the entire community. We don't see any different expressions of different cultures within the Foundation. They're all the same regardless of color, and this reflects the "I don't see color" rhetoric used by white people who want to seem non-racist, while simultaneously ignoring the lived experiences of other races. We can see this directly expressed in the film through Darius. He essentially loses himself and his identity in the community because of his own ideas about community and work. He's longed for a place where everyone works, everyone contributes, and everyone benefits. But what about those who can't work? We don't see anybody with a disability or clear mental health issue in the Foundation. Are those who are unable to work shunned? Are they killed? During a sequence late in the film where Jen and her father escape, they have to go through the cave where people are imprisoned with their eyes burned out. And we actually see a man with only one leg, highly suggestive that if you can't work for whatever reason, you're tossed into the pit of darkness. If we consider this, Darius and the Foundation's views of community border on fascism, and they're closer to a survival of the fittest ideology, similar to how communist and socialist ideals were warped by dictatorship in the Soviet Union. And just like the Soviet Union, the Foundation have turned their neck of the woods into a place that feigns socialist ideals, but in reality conceals aspects of capitalism. While Wrong Turn does a lot to subvert the original and add its own twist, it sticks with certainly traditional slasher-style tropes, such as the idea of a final girl. Jen takes on that role, but she also takes on a further role as the only character to disrupt Venable's patriarchal community. She becomes an incubator essentially after offering herself up to Venable to save herself from capital punishment. Her form of labor is then childbirth, framing the physical female body in capitalist terms. Ultimately, Jen refuses to be part of this patriarchal backwoods economy. She not only flees with a child in her belly, she murders Venable when he comes back to take her to the Appalachians again, and escapes, this time with one of the Foundation's female children. This final girl, or rather final woman, not only kills the main villain, she strikes a blow against the toxic values he upheld. Wrong Turn holds so much thematic weight beneath the surface. The social and political work of the plot comes along at an opportune time. The movie was shot while Trump was still in office, and it's been released after Biden was elected. The screenplay feels very conscious of the current American zeitgeist through the Foundation and their way of life, though above all in how it portrays the hikers and their unique brand of millennial xenophobia. What this reboot does is remove the inbred cannibal mutants who caused all the horror of the original franchise, replacing them with a backwoods society populated by normal people with unsettling ideas. Because the true terrors of America aren't fictitious cannibals lurking in the deepest forests of West Virginia. They're real flesh and blood Americans perpetuating ideologies that affect the disadvantaged and underprivileged every single day in a number of terrible ways.